morning, everyone, and welcome to Argate Radio, Simulcast, radio and TV, newspaper headlines. Every Tuesday, we come your way, bringing you different shades of perspectives on the stories on the front page of the paper. And if you're ever wondering where you can get an in-depth analysis of what transpired or transpires in the newspaper, the stories on the pages or the front page of the newspaper. Here on Argate, you can get it both on TV and on radio, and this comes every Tuesday from 9 to 10. Just 1 hour in-depth newspaper analysis. My name is Benjamin Gutav, and today I am going to take you from now till 10 a.m. and I have joining me on this program to give their perspectives on what is happening in Nigeria, as captured by the newspapers. I have by my right assistant journalist Teve Akase. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. It's my
pleasure. Daniel, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here once again.
Okay, so without wasting much of the time, we'll go straight into the papers. And of course, we start with Argate newspaper, a weekly publication. And this one comes with the banner headline, Group Petitions Tinubu, and the writer says, over Alia's refusal to pay 14 lawmakers. Okay, Group Petitions Tinubu over Alia's refusal to pay 14 lawmakers. And just above the nameplate of the newspaper, you have 2 new satellite campuses for BSU, and again justify the 513 billion expended by your government, the group tells Governor Alia. And again you have another story there. Judiciary workers short Benue courts over 75,000 minimum wage. I want to increase the minimum wage. 75 billion, that would have been huge. Okay, but 75,000 minimum wage. And just the middle of the minimum wage issue, Benue government explains delay, and the bottom of the paper says troop destroy bandits hideouts, recover arms vehicle in Benue and Taraba. These are the stories we have for you on Argate newspaper, and the publication from 11th to 17th of December. These are the stories, but let's look at the first one here, the banner headline, Group Petitions Tinubu over Alia's refusal to pay 14 lawmakers. Let me begin with you, Akase. This is a petition coming from a group from Abuja, AGG, they call themselves Alliance for Good Governance, insinuating, let me put it that way, that Governor Alia, the Benue State governor, has refused to pay 14 lawmakers. What do you make of
Well, this again brings to the fore the need for the autonomy of the other arms of government, the judiciary and the legislature. Because if you have financial autonomy for the legislature, then what is called separation of powers, checks and balances will be at play. But when you have a situation where the lawmakers who are constitutionally, empowered to put checks on the executive arm, have to go cap in hand before a sitting governor for them to have their statutory allowances, wages, and other entitlements paid, then it's a very sad situation. I don't think a group needs to be calling for the payment, to be calling on the governor or calling Mr. President to intervene in the Benue situation and prevail on His Excellency the Governor of Benue State to pay the members of the State House of Assembly. No group should be doing that, because the Assembly members are supposed to know what to do. It is within their constitutional purview to demand for their entitlements. And no governor should ordinarily deny the legislative arm, the lawmakers, their entitlements. Perhaps we do not have all the details of what is happening between the Assembly of Benue State and the Governor alias administration. Maybe when we have those details, we'll know, because on the face of it, I see no basis for the executive denying the legislature, because all bills must be passed by the legislature for them to become laws. And a governor needs the legislature to have his bills passed, including the most important one, which is the budget of the state. You know, that of course that's a law, and he needs. So if you deny the assembly members their due, their entitlements, when it's time for them to, you know, to pass your bills, there'll be trouble. Because it's like what our people say, you befriend a canoe man. What do you call as a term for that? It's someone who ferries canoes across a stream or a river. You befriend him during the dry season, so that when the rainy season comes, he ferries you, he conveys you across the river. Now, a governor needs to do that, to be friends. As I said, I have no details of what is playing out there.
Okay, before I come to Pillar, from the story, we heard that this entitlements includes constituency allowance, and one begins to wonder how that could be in the hands of the governor.
Yeah, yes, it is. It is because the power to disburse funds in the state, that power lies in the hands of the executive. The assembly only makes laws, and of course they have their entitlements, which are covered by law. And you know, in Nigeria, from the time of Olusegun Obasanjo, constitutional projects were inserted in as part of the legislative functions of the judiciary. I mean, of the legislature. So, in other climes, you hardly find lawmakers going to carry out projects. But in Nigeria, this is done. I don't know how those who originated that idea, I don't know what they were thinking. That shouldn't have been the case. The rule of, you know, carrying out projects, be they infrastructure or whichever projects for the people, should reside in the hands of the executive. But here in Nigeria, you find a lawmaker, a state assembly member or a national assembly member being expected to construct bridges, to provide boreholes, to many other projects. That is the role of the executive. That's the role of the commissioners, the role of the heads of agencies of government. But so ordinarily, that shouldn't even be there. But now it is already. So the person who has the arm that has the constitutional power to disburse money, to approve money and release those monies for projects and all other sundry issues, is the executive arm. And that is where the governor is the chairman. He presides over the executive council. So he has the red pen to approve funds. So that is why the assembly has to run to him. But if, as I said in the beginning, if there were, you know, autonomy for the legislature and the judiciary, monies moving from Abuja to Makurdi will go directly into the accounts of the legislature. They wouldn't have to wait for the executive for approvals.
Okay, Pillar, let me ask you this one, because from what Zakasa said is that projects more or less are supposed to be in the purview of the executive. Would it be that I'm just thinking whether the governor is thinking that that is not your responsibility, that is mine. So I'm not saying whether the report here is correct, but if it is, that's not your responsibility. Let me construct the bridges, let me drill the boreholes, let me do all the projects on your behalf, and you don't need, just focus and do the laws.
Well, like Mr. Kasas said, projects execution shouldn't be the responsibility of the legislature. These guys should be allowed to make laws. Let them concentrate. In other crimes, you don't find that. But here we have it. And I think that those who invented this kind of practice we are of the view that because legislatures are representatives of the people, they come from those communities and they know what those communities need. And so it won't be out of place to say that they should also assist the executive in carrying out some of these projects. I think that was the angle with this constituency projects was injected into our system. It is a very wrong practice. This has put a lot of pressure on our legislators. Most times, like you said, you find people saying this man is not doing projects, he's not doing this, he's not doing this. Meanwhile, the person was elected to go and make laws. You find the person on the floor of the house every day doing what he was elected to do. Back home, people are saying, no, you have not done A, B, or C. So that's on the one hand. On the other hand, the governor cannot say that I am the governor, let me do everything. You remember that the governor is one man. We are talking about Benue that has over 6 million people, 23 local governments, about 200 something council wards. You cannot visit all of them. Even if you are given 20 years to serve as governor, you cannot visit every community. You can't know everything that every community needs. Certainly, you need collaboration. And the best people to collaborate, the best people to partner with in developing the state are the people elected from these various constituencies to represent the people. They are the best people to partner with. So, I want to say that it is wrong. Now that we have accepted that constituency projects should be carried out by legislatures, it is very wrong of a governor to say that, no, I will give you. And in this case, the allegation is that some of the members have been given. What is good for the Ghana is also good for the, how do you call it? What is good for the goose is also good for Ghana. You cannot say that you have 30 or 31 members or so, you separate or you divide assembly into two, you give A, B, and C his own constituency allowances, and then C, D, and F you will not give. That is completely wrong. It is unacceptable. And I want to sympathize particularly with the man who represents me in that assembly, because it is on record, and I know as a fact that up till now he has not been given his official vehicle. It's sad. The man has been flying.
That's from which?
From Kum State Constituency. The man, Honorable Ezra Inyong. The man has not been given his...
How sure are you with that?
I am very, very sure of this. I am very sure of this. And many of the members, this one is a fact.
Okay, you're sure, but what do you think could be the reason?
That's what I don't know. But I know that other members have been given. And so it is wrong. And I think that the governor should have a rethink, because this is our state. It is everybody's business to come together, to partner. And so if you are the governor, rather than send people away, it should be your responsibility to bring people together to help you develop the state. One man cannot do it alone. It is impossible. And we have had governors here. This is not the first, and he will not be the last. And so if the story as captured by I Get News is correct, or by the group, sorry, the petition by the group, if the facts they have alleged are correct, I think it's unfortunate. And we are driving towards a very bad, or let me say he's setting a very bad precedence. That shouldn't be.
Okay, because when you said your representative
Yes.
has not benefited from the private, what do you call it, the official vehicles
Yes.
they were supposed to give, are you in a way saying having some belief in this petition?
Very well. To the extent that I know that my own representative has been denied his official vehicle. Unlike Akasi said, when you have a system like this, it calls to question. But I will sympathize with the assembly members only to an extent. The assembly should be able to bite. They have where they are denied their own rights. I think that they should react. And if they have not reacted, it means that they have accepted their fate. And so I will not sympathize with them 100%. I only sympathize with them to some extent. Okay, from the pictures we have been seeing online, cheers, I don't know what's happening. But clause for the good governance, peace, and progress of Benue, not having the necessary tools to work, not having the conducive environment to work, it is worrisome. And this calls for very serious concerns.
Okay, we will go on a very short break, and when we return, we will continue with the program. Don't go away. Okay, welcome back. And just looking at the first paper, the group petitions petitioning Tinubu to ensure that earlier pays the 14 lawmakers their entitlement. So you talked about autonomy. You think we can achieve that? The local government autonomy took so long, and even now some people are still doubting it, whether it's realistic. You think the legislative arm, the autonomy they should have, you think you can get it?
Yes, there shouldn't be any option on autonomy for all the arms of government if we want to see separation of powers as well as checks and balances at work. We studied these things in the secondary school and some parts of university, even in the university, because there's something called general studies in the university. And there you are taught nationalism, which is a graduation of social studies from primary and secondary school. So we were taught all of these, that for government to work, there has to be separation of powers, checks and balances. And over time, sadly, these things have been in theory in Nigeria, where you find the executive in charge of everything at the federal level, state and local governments. It should be seen that separation of powers, which means the executive has its own role, the legislature has its own role, the judiciary, which is the legislature that of lawmaking, the judiciary that of interpreting the laws. Now, the executive's job is to implement, to execute the policies, which many times come from the laws that are made by the judiciary, by the legislature. And the judiciary interprets when there are issues arising from implementation of policies from the population, from the populace. Then the judiciary interprets. So for you to have this at work, there must be checks and balances. There must be separation of powers. Checks and balances happens between the executive and the legislature. The judiciary does not really involve itself in checks and balances. Why checks and balances were introduced in administration, in governance, was to put the executive, which has the money, the resources of the state at its disposal. Let the lawmakers be putting them in check. But a situation where you have the lawmakers getting deeply involved in implementation of policies, in this case, carrying out projects, that means they are part of the executive. That's what it implies. So who will check them? If you give, for instance, a state lawmaker, a man representing a state constituency, you give him money to go and carry out a project, maybe a road project or a school project or whatever, then someone has to audit him. Someone has to do oversight on him. but he is the one charged with the duties of oversighting other people. So you can see the confusion. That is why I'm saying that if we must go back to the basics, I will suggest that the Nigerian Constitution, I have not seen this thing of constituency projects in the Constitution. Pila is a student of law. I don't know if he has seen that in the Constitution. So if constituency projects is not provided for by the Nigerian Constitution, then why do we have it? I think this is something that the National Assembly should tell themselves the truth if they love this country, by making it known that henceforth there will be nothing like constituency projects. Or Mr. President should use the same yardstick he used in getting autonomy for local governments by approaching the Supreme Court to interpret why the federal government must continue to give constituency projects to lawmakers, why the state governments should continue to give constituency projects. This is something that we must do, because until we do this, checks and balances can never be at work in this country. And until we have checks and balances, until we have separation of powers in actual play, like we are seeing it happening, governors will be more careful. There will be no rascality in government. There will be no, we will have less dictatorships that we are seeing now. Governors are too powerful in this country. Presidents are too powerful. You find a president telling the National Assembly to go to blazes, to calling the National Assembly, calling the bluff of the National Assembly. It shouldn't be. You can't do that in the United States. You cannot do that in the UK. So we have to go to those basics, and I believe if we do, we'll get it right, because autonomy must be given to the legislature and the judiciary.
Okay, Pila, you want to say something?
Yes. You see, the dilemma with...
You have to be brief, because
okay.
a lot of people...
The dilemma with the autonomy is that anytime a proposal for constitutional amendment comes before the State House, the procedure is that the National Assembly proposes. Once they have agreed, the both chambers agree, these proposals are sent to State Houses of Assembly, the 36 states. And the provision in the Constitution is that 2/3 of the yes vote must be secured from the State Houses of Assembly before it can be passed into law. And each time it goes to the State Houses of Assembly, it is the same State House of Assembly that vote against their own autonomy. They vote against their own autonomy. I am wondering what happens. Each time, I know that about 2, 3, 4 attempts have been made to give the local government and the state legislatures financial autonomy. But each time, the National Assembly will agree. When this thing is transmitted to state houses of assembly, usually the 2/3 majority of the State House of Assembly has not been, it's not always secured. And I'm wondering what is happening. Otherwise, there is no provision. If you look at section 4, 5, and 6, that has separated the powers from legislation to executive to judiciary. There is nothing like projects and all that.
Okay. It appears that if this allegation perhaps had been that all the lawmakers were denied these entitlements, it would have been more apt.
Yeah.
But because it is just only a few persons were actually not given. So again, another one coming, appears more groups are asking questions on the about the earlier administration, asking him to also justify 513 billion expended by his government. That is another story for another day. We'll talk. But let's look at this two new satellite campuses for BSU. But before that, let's relate this to the judiciary workers shutting down of the courts over 75. I keep talking about 75 million. 75.
Maybe you want the minimum wage to be increased.
To be increased. Okay, 75,000 minimum wage. What does it tell to about the judiciary in the state as it stands? Because the courts are totally off.
You see, it goes. this boils down to what Mr. Akasi said, that the judiciary and the legislative arms of government need financial autonomy. Judiciary is a separate arm of government. They shouldn't be waiting for the executive to pay them. And in this case, the allegation is that the state government has selected those working in the executive and paid their 75,000 minimum wage, and has left out a good number of workers, and particularly those in the judiciary. It's unfortunate because you know that there are people in prison that are waiting trial, those that have been sent on remand and all of that. All these people are languishing in jail, and their cases cannot be heard because once you don't have the judiciary staff on ground, the judges cannot go and sit down alone. They cannot bring their files, all the files, they cannot call out their cases. You need a class, you need everybody, the registrar, to be filing and all that before the court can sit. The court is not only the judge, he sits there to preside, but there are several other staff that are needed. And so this is not correct. I think the governor should look into this issue as urgent as possible, because if it is not for the sake of the workers, at least for those who are languishing in jail and need their cases to be heard, I think that calls for urgent concern.
Okay. So would you want to say something, or I want to throw this question to you? 2 new satellite campuses for BSU. What impact?
Well, I mean, the expansion of the state university, I don't have any issues with that. You know, I don't know if this is political, but if it is not, then I have no problems with that. I just hope that the 2 campuses being proposed by the government has no political undertone. If it does, then it will be quite unfortunate. But by the way, BSU is doing very well under the current Vice Chancellor. I'm happy that I said the other time, I'm happy that he was appointed during the administration of His Excellency Samuel Otom, who saw something in him and appointed him. He has brought a lot of changes, positive changes to that university. A lot of new faculties have been created, and you know, some of the existing ones unbundled to give greater room for more enrollment for Benue students. That's commendable. So I don't want to comment so much about this satellite campuses. I just hope that it's not for political reasons. If it is for political reasons, it will be quite unfortunate, because I remember that the issue of satellite campuses was scrapped by the federal government in those days. I don't know the reason it's being restored now. I will have to dig deeper to know why we are going back to satellite campuses when the university is here, and the university still has a lot of land for expansion, and it is within the same state. I don't think someone who is living in Adipo coming to learn in Makudi would deem it to be too far. But if it's for development, infrastructural development, of course, where there is a tertiary institution, development springs up there. For instance, if you go to Wanune now, where the Federal Polytechnic is located, already people are buying land around there to build shops, to do things, because that place will automatically become a village of sort, a kind of a modern village, because a tertiary institution brings development. So if it is for that, I have no problems about it at all.
Okay, I was also coming to that angle where also I read some time ago that there are no satellite campuses, and many states, governors or government rather, were also closing. So Fashola did the same. Satellite campus, closed the Lagos State satellite campus and others. Now we're having satellite campuses in a time where there is so much demands for cash or what should be done with money. The roads are there, the needs, many needs of the people are there. So satellite campus is not just by mere pronouncement. It comes with building those things, and a lot of infrastructure we go in, and recruitments with. Do you think the state is capable of handling that at the moment?
I don't think so. You see, some people may not like my position on this. Satellite campuses at this time, at this critical time, I think it's not a good idea. If you ask me, Benue State University, like rightly said, has a lot of land. The current vice chancellor has been able to create new faculties and many departments. If you ask me, expand the university, give us a faculty of engineering, bring and the other ones, agriculture and the rest, so that Benue State University, if it is cited in one place, the problem of infrastructure and other areas that needs funding will not be so much tasking as it is to establish a new. It's as good as opening a new university, and by this time I don't think it's possible, because if you have money, fund BSU, expand the current faculties that we have, like the VC is doing, fund the new faculties, give us infrastructure on the campus. And if you like you said, if I grow up in Adigbo and I want to study, at least I should come down, because education is not only in the classroom. If you stay in Makurdi, if you're coming from, this is not, I don't want to talk down, I'm not talking down, but if you travel from a rural community into this town, there are things you will learn off the class. It's not everything that you learn in the class. And so when you bring people, like when people travel to this town or other towns for tertiary education, there are a lot of things that they will gain. Of course, even when you cite it there, it is, but the funding is the major problem. And I don't think at this time that other areas are suffering. We shouldn't be talking about establishing this thing. What about the secondary schools? What about the primary schools? We should be looking at that too. So instead of going to build campuses, inject part of this money into the campus, the main campus that we have in Makurdi, and then part of it into primary and post-primary education, so that we should have a seamless education, yes, from primary to secondary and then into the university in the state. I think that is what I will vote for.
Okay, that's fine. So let's go to the next paper, which is Vanguard. And Vanguard newspaper carries this bold headline, the banner headline, Killer Bread. Nigerians risk cancer over use of bromate. Research says what the writer says, how our daily bread is becoming daily poison. And WHO, FAO express concern. NAFDAC reads Riot Act to bakeries and threatens crackdown. Our loaves are safe. Go after quacks. This P-ban challenges NAFDAC. And why we can't do without bread. That's coming from Citizen. But if you look at this ban on bromate, since 2003, NAFDAC came up with this particular stuff and to sensitize people and all of that. One begins to wonder, up until this moment, we're still hearing this story. It now begins to question the efficiency of NAFDAC.
Well, it's not just NAFDAC. It's a Nigerian problem. A Nigerian problem because regulation is a problem in this country. Regulation. We have many regulatory agencies. But to what extent do they do that job? For me, NAFDAC is even trying. If you look at other aspects of our lives, NAFDAC has been really trying. All we can do is to encourage NAFDAC to do better, to do more than they are doing, because their job is very critical, very, very essential for the well-being of the people of this country. So NAFDAC needs all the support that we as a people can give it. I will not just sit and run down NAFDAC. But the problem, the general problem of this country is regulation. Laws are made. Every agency of government that is established has its own laws cut for it. Now, its guidelines, its functions. But to what extent they put those guidelines, those functions, those terms of reference is another problem. Now, potassium bromate, which is now an issue, bakers say it is it strengthens the dough, okay, which is used in making bread. But again, you find the World Health Organization saying that a bit of bromate is not too bad for bread.
0.2 kilos.
So that you don't allow the quality of the bread, of the loaf to drop. It's the over mixing of it when it is overdone. So this is where NAFDAC needs to balance what the WHO is saying and its own regulatory mechanisms to be able to say that, look, if you are adding a bit of that of potassium or whatever it is called, I'm not a professional in that area, do it as the prescription, the guidelines stipulate. Don't overdo, because it is when it is overdone that is where the problem, that's according to WHO. So, but our people would want to go to excess in doing everything, and that is why the problem is they are risking the lives of the people of this country. The bread, yes, what the citizens are saying is correct. Bread is a staple food, is very important. Almost every home eats bread. And that is why some people are taking advantage of the importance of that commodity. And NAFDAC has to do more. And we as human beings have to also do much. Because even looking at some loaves, you will notice that something is wrong with this loaf. So do we just hurry to pick and eat? If you sense something, some bread, if you cut and you keep after a day or two, you notice some changes. So what do we do to alert the regulatory agencies like NAFDAC to be able to checkmate these people? The function of policing the health and the general well-being of the people cannot be left in the hands of the agencies in charge.
Okay. That brings me to two things I'll ask you here, because he talked about the function of policing cannot be left in the hands of only the agency. Now begin to look at, we should begin to ask the question of the relationship between the Nigerians, ordinary Nigerians, permit me to use that, and the agency. Last time I attended a particular function where the military said military-civilian collaboration for security and all of that. So I think some of those agencies, don't you think some of those agencies should begin to do that kind of collaborations? And at the same time, I'm thinking that there should be data of bakers or bakeries in Nigeria. And NAFDAC again should begin to think that not just visiting the factories or the bakeries with notices. They should go without notices. To what extent do you think if they put data issues and relationship with the ordinary Nigerian, that this problem can't be solved?
Number one, I want to commend NAFDAC, but they will also have to take a bit of some blame. The reason is that if you go around this town, you find that almost everybody who is into one manufacturing or the other, I want to tell you that most of these places, no staff of NAFDAC has ever visited these people, yet they have approvals, they have NAFDAC registration numbers. When Dr. Paulo here was in NAFDAC, there was something the man introduced, that you could buy your drugs here in Makurdi, and you are able to confirm whether those drugs are fake or not. This was a very good advancement, a technological advancement that he introduced in NAFTA. I don't know whether that is still functioning. Number one. Number two, I don't think NAFDAC is well funded in my own estimation. By this time, I expect that NAFDAC should have established laboratories in at least all the geopolitical zones, if not in every state. And the staff, I don't think they have enough staff. And so I will appeal to the federal government to increase funding and then check those who are in charge of NAFDAC so that they are able to employ as many people, as many hands as possible to be able to police every place. Nigeria is big. If you talk about data, okay, Benue alone, how many bakeries do we have? How many NAFDAC staff do we have? That can, if they want to go to every bakery in the state, they won't even finish it in 2 years. And more bakeries are cropping up every day. That's the problem. The manpower is not there. If NAFDAC has enough manpower in all the states and the FCT, I don't think some of these issues will be hearing. And then another thing, I want to agree with Piman. Don't issue notices or go after violators. The laws are already there. We're talking about health. Anybody who violates should pay. There is for every crime there is a punishment for it. The law that establishes a crime also stipulates the punishment for each offense you commit under such a law. And so NAFDAC shouldn't be because you go out every day. When I was a kid here, I was only hearing of cancer. Nowadays, you go to the hospital and you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 patients that are suffering from cancer. It means these things are real. They are not just scientific permutations or this thing. They are real. And so if we are talking about health, NAFDAC should go beyond should at least empower them to employ more hands so that they are able to go to every place and increase their this thing. That's on the one. On the other hand, she talked about policy. I think there is a general failure because these things are imported into Nigeria. There is somebody who is in charge of export and import. There is somebody who is supposed to check the influx. How do bromines come into the country? Who is importing this bromine? For what reason are you bringing it? These things are supposed to be checked at the borders. Sometimes I wonder how they get into the country unchecked. Because if you, Mr. Benjamin, has a bakery and you are importing bromate from whichever country you are bringing it, somebody is responsible to check, to know what quantity are you bringing. How do you intend to use this? These things should be there. But you find that from where this thing is imported down to where it is passed at the border, it gets into bread. We don't know until when problem starts that they start raising alarm. I think that these areas also needs to be checked.
Okay, let's go to the next paper, and that brings us to Daily Trust newspaper with the banner headline: EFCC's largest single bust. 193 foreigners, 599 suspected Nigerian crypto fraudsters arrested. Weak systems responsible for fraudulent activities, experts said. So, I think that is what we will take on that paper. And let me begin with you, Sir Akase. Looking at what Daily Trust is reporting, over 190 people and over 500 suspected Nigerians into cryptocurrency. They said this building is housing a lot of people, and foreigners are part of this. Some Chinese, Arabs, Filipinos, and what again? China, you have many others. But one interesting thing they said there is at the particular floor they found 500 SIM cards that these guys were using for cryptocurrency and romance, and they called that entire building was.
Let me commend the EFCC. EFCC, right?
Yes, sir.
Let me commend the EFCC for this huge success. Now, this story has proven that Nigerians are not the only citizens of the world who are into crime. Now you look at the number of foreigners involved in this issue, of fraud, and you wonder. But if this had happened maybe in China or in the Philippines or wherever else, and Nigerians are involved, the whole world will get to know. CNN will carry it, BBC will carry it, Al Jazeera will carry it, Sky News, all of them will be everywhere. Reuters will be reporting that Nigerians are the most corrupt people on earth. Nigerians are not the most corrupt people on earth. In fact, some of the people that teach Nigerians how to do these things are not Nigerians. Look at these people. Many of them are not Nigerians. I am not justifying crime by any stretch committed by a Nigerian. Of course, crime is condemnable any day, any time. But I'm looking at the diplomatic angle to this issue. Now, how do these people get into this country? That is where our immigration services will have to also share a part of the blame. If you go to other countries, before you cross the airport into that country, you are checked, thoroughly checked. If you escaped with whatever you are coming from with at your own airport in your country, you get to their country, you must be checked. And if you are found, you have to convince the immigration officials of that country at the airport. They even go to an extent of checking how much money you have on you. No one asks you for any money. Unlike here, when people come at the airport, our officials demand, Oga Oyibo, welcome. What do you have for us? Those kind of things are this. You know, the airport is the first gate of entering any country, and that is the first impression that people get. Now, how do these white guys got into this country? What business did they tell our immigration officials at the airport that they were coming to do here? And how did we go to an extent of confirming the genuineness, the legality of their claims? If we didn't do that and we allowed them to come into this country and corrupt our people, and in the end Nigeria will still bear the moniker of the most corrupt country on earth, then it's quite unfortunate. And I expect the federal government not just to stop at this. People who are these ones have been arrested, but the cartel is bigger than this. The syndicates are wider. The network is large. So I expect EFCC not to stop at this. The federal government should go beyond this and even engage those countries whose nationals have been found guilty here of corrupting Nigerians, showing them how to maneuver the systems using cryptocurrency and you know, defrauding people. Nigeria should take steps in engaging the Chinese government, engaging the Filipino government, and all of these countries that are involved in this thing, and get to the roots of it, so that tomorrow, let it be on record that Nigerians are not the only people who are corrupt in this in this world. That's very important for us to do while we punish our own people for getting involved in this. Of course, those who are arrested should be punished to serve as deterrent to others, but the same steps should be taken to let the world know that those who are corrupting Nigerians are not Nigerians.
Okay, Pilar, when I saw this this news and I began to look at the people, I'm trying to, like, you know, at some point, I think every Nigerian, in one way or the other, has gotten a message of scam somehow. Either you have WhatsApp, through WhatsApp, or they call you, say send a code and all of that. So when I looked at that, the picture, I was now trying to see who amongst these people perhaps
has always said you
So I was like, maybe one of them is inside. But anyway, that's anyway. So, but let's look at this now. What does it tell to our young guys, you know, who perhaps want to make money very quick and get to the peak of becoming rich and wealthy? What does it say to a nation like of Nigeria?
What has happened, should I say, is unfortunate. A group of persons numbering over 700 occupying a 7-story building in the guise of it's an investment house, whereas what is happening there is something fraudulent.
Fraudulent investment.
In other countries, when you come in, you are not only checked, you are monitored. They know, what are you coming for? How long are you staying? Where are you going to stay? The hotels, your travel itinerary, everything. And you stay in a country, If your visa is about to expire, or the time which you give as the time you are coming to stay here, you see a message. They are going to send you a message that your time is almost up. You have so and so date. And someone told us a story. He traveled to a particular country I've forgotten. So while he was in the swimming pool in a hotel, he urinated in that swimming pool. Immediately there was an alarm. He was picked in that swimming pool and brought out. And the hotel evicted him that evening. He went to the town in 7 or 8 hotels and he could not lodge. Anywhere he got to, they rejected him. The signal had already gone around the hotels around the town that this is what he committed. He was able to beg someone and sleep somewhere. He couldn't get a hotel that night. I agree that our country has not advanced to that level. But I am wondering how these people come into Nigeria. Once you are colored, they begin to respect you, whether you are a criminal, they don't care. Once you are colored, you see policemen following you, security personnel following them. This is just one of the aspects of papers. In places where you have insecurity heightened, they go into these places or what? I am wondering, what is the relationship that even the locals are being sent out of these places, and yet these people are doing it just behind us. And so I want to agree with Mr. Akasi that immigration, the police, and other sister agencies, security agencies, have to also share this blame. Why do we allow people to come into Nigeria, do whatever they want, and then go scot-free? For these ones that have been arrested, my charge is that they should be prosecuted, and if found guilty, they should be sentenced to what the law says they should be sentenced to. This is one, this is too many. Okay,
there's another story that President Tinubu will present budget on Wednesday. Until he presents the budget, then we can talk about
but a quick one. The budget, we discussed it sometime here. 47.9 trillion. And but you look at the deficit of 13 trillion, which means Nigeria is only boasting of a share of revenue of 34 trillion.
Yeah.
While 13 trillion is going to be deficit, and is going to be based on borrowing. That means in future, Nigeria will still be immersed in loan servicing and all of that. That's not very good for the country, the future of the country. But I just hope that Mr. President and his team will be able to meander through this. We'll be able to find ways to reduce the level of loans that Nigeria will be taking next year to fund the budget, since it is already in deficit of 13 trillion.
Okay, let's go to sports. And CAF Awards is dominating everything that has to do with sports. And again, I like the way the caption takes it here. If you look at it, Lukman is the man of the season, and the caption says, "Look, he is the man."
That is that's ingenious.
Yeah,
that's the punch sports, right? And that's very creative way of doing it.
So
congratulations, Ademola Lookman. All of us saw this coming. He has stood out in the season, in the last season, and even this one, he's doing pretty well already. Yeah. And some people are saying that they will not be surprised if he wins it again. A lot of Moroccans were disappointed because of Hakimi. They wanted Hakimi to win it. But if you look at the statistics of Ademola Lookman, we are not just saying this because he's our brother, a Nigerian. No. The boy deserved to win it. And the way he dressed yesterday during the awards, he came out in dark green agbada representing Nigeria's colors. That was wonderful to see him mount the stage deservingly to collect that award as the best footballer on the African continent.
Okay, you have something to say. Let me just look at another one here.
Okay.
United is making fresh Osimhen's contact. United is recently United went and got a very good victory from the Etihad. And I think if you go out these days, if you see any United man, you can just spot and you tell, oh, this man is a United man. They are all wearing red.
Pilar may like to comment on that.
So
you see, Osimhen will be a good addition. You know, and I want to be biased because I'm a United fan.
Oh, I see.
But you see,
but you're not wearing red.
No, because of my appearance. Yeah. Osimhen will be a very good addition to the United squad. You know, the club has suffered some stability, has had stability issues. I think since Alex Ferguson left, we've been on and off, struggling in some seasons, and this time too. That attacking line needs a biting force. I don't want to be going because of time. Otherwise, the current crop of attackers that we have are not too strong enough. You need someone like Osimhen who can go with his stamina sometimes.
Be a threat to the defense.
Yeah, a threat to the defense. I think if that happens, it will be a good one.
You believe in Amorim system?
I think he just arrived. I want to give him time. Otherwise, I think he's a good coach. But United has a standard, has a history. That as a coach, if you come in, you should fit into that. But we'll give him time. I want to give him time.
Okay. So you don't want to say something about...
Well, Pilar has summed it up just to say that Amorim has started well, and we are wishing that by next season he would have recruited his own staff, his own players in the summer transfer window, and be able to approach the coming season as a man of his team, and that should be able, United should be able to put claims for some honors next season.
Okay, and that is where we have to end the show for today. I want to sincerely thank Teve Akasi, seasoned journalist, and Pilar Daniel. Thank you both for coming on the program, and hope to see you next time.
It is our pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Benjamin Gutsav. See you next time, and don't forget to follow us on all our social media handles. And if you want more of the stories, go to www.igetradiotv.com. You find all the stories, you watch the TV, you also listen to the Radio 1 and Radio 2. Bye for now. See you next time.